Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are having a chat about how I transitioned from engineering to full-time content creation. I got a lot of questions about this after I announced that I was leaving engineering. So this video is specifically for the TikTok followers that wanted to hear all about this. In this video, I'm going to talk about my content creation journey and how I got started, how I got organized as a content creator. I started working with brands and getting brand deals. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about, how you can take the leap into full-time content creation as well. This video is for all people that are either in science or just interested in being full-time creators. Space is very new and it's not exactly outlined on how to do this, but I personally knew a lot of people that were full-time engineers and then decided to become creators. So I have a lot of knowledge in that way, and then from doing it myself, I can show you how I did it. So I started making content when I was in graduate school, and at the time I was creating content about being an engineer. I would talk about different experiences in the field. I would go to conferences and I would give people tips about how to be successful in graduate school. Also started talking about my life, so I started to branch out into other niches. And I talked about my travel experiences as well as things that I did outside of science, because I too am a human being. I started on Instagram. So at the time I only had Instagram. I didn't use any other platform, and I made a completely brand new profile that was separate from my personal Instagram profile. It helped me a lot because I started to people that were actually engaged with my content and wanted to see more on that page as opposed to my personal page, which was just people from high school, college, whatever. I started a brand new Instagram and I started posting content about graduate school. And then once I became comfortable with Instagram and learning how to grow on Instagram, then I started making content on TikTok. A lot of people will start on various platforms and will try to balance all at the same time. I did not do that, and I'm really happy that I didn't do that, because it takes a lot of time to learn each platform's algorithm and what each platform is looking for. When I started TikTok, I then learned how to make engaging short form video content, and I was playing around a lot of different ideas and just trying out different things on TikTok. I didn't yet have a following, but after a while I learned how to grow on TikTok and how to amass a following. From there, I went to Pinterest and I started to gain a following on Pinterest as well. So as you can see, I went from platform to platform, but I only switched to a new platform when I had learned the ins and outs of the previous platform. The key to this is that each platform will change its algorithm very frequently. It can be annoying sometimes. The platform also has its desired amount of content that it wants you to post on it. So for Instagram, it's multiple times a week. YouTube, it could be 1 to 2 times a week, whereas TikTok is 3 to 5 times per day. So they're all so different, but the best way to grow on a platform is to be consistent. And you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, everybody says that. That's because it's true. Be consistent. The best part about being an engineer that is now a creative is that I have a very structured mind and structured brain. So everything in my mind is a spreadsheet, and that's how I work. When I started making content on various platforms, I was able to organize my content and plan it out or schedule it ahead of time. Because I was balancing graduate school at the time, this was really key for me to stay consistent. I don't know how I was able to grow outside of being consistent, because consistency is the key. I personally see it as a numbers game. The more content you push out, the more people you'll be able to attract, people that will want to follow you. Consistency, 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 that is the key. That's the hardest part for a lot of people. I think a lot of people, when they start their platforms, they want to see a result right away, and that doesn't necessarily happen. It took me 3 years to get 5,000 followers on Instagram, which is pretty slow compared to a lot of people. It also took me 1 year to get 30,000 followers on TikTok. As an example of how consistent and how organized I am, this video that you are seeing right now, I'm gonna edit and schedule this video, but you will not see it until 2 weeks after I've already recorded it. Scheduling is the way that I'm able to stay consistent, and also a way of how I'm able to balance everything. The way I know that this works is because people have told me that I'm so consistent that they look forward to my content because they know when it's gonna be posted. Post the same time every single day, on Instagram. Also post the same time every week on YouTube. That's what my audience expects, and that's what I give to them every single time. Granted, there have been times that I have taken breaks and I have told my followings on different platforms, I'm gonna take a break. So if you do need a break, let your audience know. They will support you, but try your very, very best to be consistent on all platforms. I've also been asked multiple times, who is my manager? Who is my agent? Who is my brand manager? And that's because everything across my platforms are consistent. Branding, the lettering, how I show up, it's all consistent from each platform. So even if you stumble upon my video on Pinterest, you're like, oh, that's BME Queen. I know her. That was one of the ways that I was able to grow my platform, not just on one app, but on multiple social media apps. Throughout this process, I did change niches several times, and if you've been following me for a while, then you've probably recognized that. Like I said before, I started out being a science communicator on Instagram. After a while, that got really dry and really boring, and I was pretty burnt out making that type of content, so I started to switch it up. I started to make content about traveling, sustainability, and I just started making content about my life, and people love to see that because they liked me as a science communicator, but they wanted to hear more about me and my life outside of science. To the people who think that you need to have one singular niche, you don't, but it is best if you stick to 2 or 3 topics on your platform. Try to build familiarity with your audience. One of the key things that makes a content creator full-time or can help transition from part-time to full-time is building streams of revenue. There's so many different ways to do this, but a lot of the ways that creators will make income is through brand deals. For a long while, I was creating content, about 2 years, where I was not getting paid for it. I was just doing it for fun. I didn't know that you can get paid for content, so I was just out here having a great time on Instagram and TikTok. After a while, I started to get emails from brands, and I also started to learn how to pitch myself to brands for different brand deals and collaborations. You can do this through pitching, you can do it through a social media manager, although I would personally recommend to follow different social media managers that will give you tips on how to make a media kit and how to write an email to get a brand's attention. Media kits are like your resume as a content creator. It details information about your audience, information about you, and then also information about previous brands that you've worked with. Now, if you haven't worked with a brand, the best way to get involved is to start doing content for free, the content that is around products or items that you already use. I did this a lot when I started posting about books. I just love books so much, so I was sharing them and sharing things that I loved about them. It took a while for me to actually get a brand deal for books, even though I was posting about it pretty consistently. Not getting brand deals, you can still do affiliate links, which is where you earn a commission off of a sale, or you can do live streaming revenues. There's also ambassador programs that you can do as well. A lot of the ways that people start to get brand deals is by working with different social media marketing agencies that bring together influencers and brands and build collaborations between the two. There are a few beginner influencer agencies. I will put them right here. You can definitely get started with those and see what it's like to work with a brand. You're an influencer, you're getting brand deals, you have multiple streams of revenue, so how do you know when it's time to take the leap to be full-time? For me, it was really about being able to leave my job as an engineer. I didn't like what I was doing, and I really wanted something different that allowed me to be creative and allowed me to make my own schedule. I read a ton of personal finance books, and I talk about them on TikTok, so if you're not following me there, you should definitely follow me on TikTok. I was learning so many tips about how to manage money, both business and personal finance, through reading different books as well as listen to a variety of podcasts. Those books, they give you a lot of different advice. A few of the things that I wanted for myself before going time would be to get consistent paid brand deals, which to me would mean I was always working on a brand deal. 2 would be to save enough money for me to have a emergency fund for Los Angeles and not for Delaware, which is where I was living at the time. And I wanted that emergency fund to have about 4 months of savings in it. The third thing that I wanted was to be able to make a certain amount of money in a fixed period of time. So that to me was just a proof to myself that I could do it, even being a part-time content creator, because if I were full-time, I would have even more time to pitch myself to brands, to work with different creators, and to explore different revenue streams. Those are my 3 criteria, and I was working on the first 2 for a long time, for about 9 months. But in the last 3 months before I moved to LA, I actually was able to meet the financial goal that I set for myself to make within a 3-month period. After that, I kind of proved to myself that I could do this full time. I also wanted to invest in myself as well, for that I could be able to expand and to do more creator opportunities that I couldn't do previously. So for me, that was investing in a camera, which I'm now recording on. But prior to that was me investing in myself. So in those personal finance books that I would read, and also into that emergency fund that I was building for myself, and a retirement fund, because in graduate school, they do not give you one of those. So I decided to take the leap on myself because I knew that I was making consistent brand deals and that I would be able to support myself for multiple months, even if I didn't have any income coming in. I hope this video was helpful. I hope take the leap on yourself and are able to create content for yourself in any niche, no matter what it is. Thank you for tuning into this video, and if you have more questions, let me know in the comments, and I will see y'all in the next episode. Bye.